Hello and welcome to today's caravan or camper van chat, I should say, and I'm going to be talking about Caravan Salon and what's happening with that. Now, Caravan Salon is the largest trade fair for motorhomes, RVs, camper vans, everything in the world. It gets well over 200,000 visitors. Its campsite is the largest campsite in the world for the 9 days, or it's even longer in fact, because people sort of come there earlier. So let's say up to 2 weeks that it is in use, and it is the place to be in the world for innovations in RVs in general. Now this year, as a result of the current health crisis, a number of companies have decided to opt out. Now, the most important one of which is Hymer. The Hymer group, I would say, I haven't actually calculated this, but to me it must, by my eye, it must be taking up around 1/3, maybe a quarter, but probably just a third of all the floor space there, which is devoted to RVs. And so the loss of Hymer is really important, and it's not just the Hymer brand, it's all the companies which are within its group. So that includes Bürstner, Deathlefs, Etrusco, Carrado, Sunlight, Three Dog, and all the others which are part of it, which go there. And this obviously is going to have an effect on other companies. For example, Lippert Components, which make things like slide outs, and they've had one or two other rather curious innovations. They've said that in view of the situation, they won't be going, and I'm sure there's going to be a knock-on effect with other companies as well. So, what does that mean for you as a potential visitor? Well, it means that there's going to be less to see, and it also means, however, that less people are going to be going there. Now, when this crisis started, I was in southern Germany, and in February I went to Munich and I visited the trade fair there. It's called Free. And they had motorhomes there, and I was told, I've never been there before, but I was told that visitors were down by around 50%. I was also told that they were down by around 50% at the trade fair, which took place at the same time in Essen in Germany. And at that moment, the COVID was a problem in Italy. I think that the situation had also started to get serious in Spain, but in Germany it wasn't yet. There were no measures had been taken. In fact, the measures in Germany weren't taken until about 3 weeks later. So people were already frightened to go out, and obviously the trade fair organizers are aware of this, that people aren't wanting to go out. And if anybody exhibits at an event, it is because they're going to want to sell. Now, obviously, the equipment suppliers already have equipment to sell, but the motorhome suppliers possibly don't, because in January, for most vehicles, you'd be looking at a lead time of between 8 months to about 15 months, something along those lines. Now, with all of the distribution networks have been upset, and just-in-time deliveries have completely now gone by. Motorhomes are made up of parts from many countries and companies. But above all, when we think of the what happened in Italy, which had the longest lockdown, the failure to produce the base vehicles, which is the factories were closed, so there's going to be fewer Ducatos, Boxers, Jumpers, etc., which make up around about 3/4 now of all base vehicles, possibly even slightly more. And therefore, this means to say that instead of waiting, let's say, a year for a vehicle, which perhaps was already ordered, people are going to have to wait a year and a half or even longer, because it's not just the 2 or 3 months that there was a lockdown. It's a knock-on effect in getting systems to be efficient again. So that's something that I'm sure that manufacturers are well aware of. Now, the largest manufacturer who will definitely be there is Knaus. They take up a very large hole number 4. And so we'll have to wait and see what other companies such as Trigano, for example, or Rapido Group, what they have to say, if they will be there or not. And so really it's now in the hands of not many people. Now, as far as the event itself is concerned, last year it was moved to the last weekend of August. And because of the health situation, large meetings are not going to be permitted in Germany until the end of August. Caravan Salon was delayed or postponed until the 4th of September. So it'll be from the 4th to the 13th of September. Now, which is, for me, it's even better, but I wonder how it is for most people. I think, though, that most motorhome visitors will be thinking then it doesn't bother them that much, because it's outside the school holidays, but people who buy motorhomes tend not to have kids of school age. Anyway, tend, no, that's a general word. I mean, I know plenty of people do have kids going there. Now, one of the things that will happen as a result of this crisis is that clearly there's going to be less money circulating, but at the same time, people are going to think about their own lives, their needs, and what they do in life. And I think that many people are going to think, well, I want to do some traveling. And this will place even more demand on motorhomes, and particularly on the used market. On the other hand, there will be people who own businesses who are having difficulties. Maybe they're having difficulties paying their mortgages or whatever. Maybe their businesses may have gone under because of this crisis, and they will need the cash, and they may have recently bought motorhomes which they can no longer maintain the payments on, and those motorhomes may come onto the market, and people may need to sell them quickly. But I think there will be more buyers than sellers as far as this market's concerned. Now, COVID has, for most areas of the tourist industry, this has been an absolute disaster. And for example, for hotels, restaurants, for destinations, for museums and this type of thing, it is a disaster. But for motorhomes, because we're isolated, we're self-contained, I think that this is going to be something which is positive for the market, shall we say. Now, as far as Caravan Salon's concerned, let's have a rather than look at me, let's have some video of previous Caravan Salons, and that will sort of more put you in the mood, and I'll tell you a bit about what they're going to do. Now, they clearly are disappointed by the companies which are not going to be there, as I am as well. But I'm not disappointed at the companies. I'm actually more disappointed that they're not going to be there. But I understand perfectly well why they're not going to be there. Caravan Salon, it actually states that safety and health of the visitors, exhibitors, employees is top priority, and that they're going to put in hygiene and safety requirements in a comprehensive and responsible manner. The Messe Düsseldorf is working with the Ministry for Health and Economics of the North Rhine-Westphalian government, and a viable health concept is currently being developed that makes it possible to hold trade fairs within the present frameworks and standards. The necessary hygiene and infection protection standards are going to be complied across the board in all the exhibition halls in the fairground. So this means they're going to have to develop layout plans in areas of exhibition centre where it'll be possible to keep a minimum distance of 1.5 metres everywhere, and hygiene measures have to be stepped up, hand sanitising dispensers all over the place, including every single stand. Maybe that's an obvious thing, and everybody is going to have to wear a mask of some description. And so basically it's going to be like going to the shops in Germany, if you like. But one thing is that they're going to limit the amount of visitors to 20,000 per day, and that it's going to be a lot less than there is normally. And bearing in mind, however, there will be a lot less to actually see. And yes, so I mean, that could be a reason for putting you off if you're thinking of travelling from a long distance. Caravan Salon, I would say, it's a trend barometer for the industry, and you can find there a huge variety of products, not only in motorhomes but also in equipment. But I mean, how many companies will be having innovations for 2021. Now, one company I know it does have an innovation is Thetford, and I'm going to tell you about that in a different video. And they've got. Well, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give a hint what it is right now. Thetford has come up with this system whereby the grey water is recycled to use for the toilet, and instead of having a toilet cassette and a grey tank, it'll be just one tank, and they've worked out a way of telling you when you have to dump the thing, and water will be recycled. Now, I'll tell you more about that later. So you're probably thinking that, oh, I'm gonna use the toilet and then they're gonna recycle that water as my drinking water. No, it's not that, but I'll tell you about it in a different video, okay? So if I do that, I'll just come completely off the point, which is talk about Caravan Salon. But whilst I mentioned innovations for this year, for example, Börsner is bringing out a van using this system. So it's their big one, and it's the most expensive one they do, and it'll have this system already installed, and that is going to be announced to the press next week. That's to say, probably at the beginning of June 2020. Coming back now to Caravan Salon. So I'm sure there will be a great lineup there, as there is every year, and 90% of the visitors do come from Germany and nearby countries, Benelux, and so there'll be a relatively short distance, and likewise the end of travel warning announced by the German government for 31 countries is a positive signal. So I'm personally not worried about going there. I don't expect to see as many people. When I got a message today from Caravan Salon, and I thought, oh no, they've cancelled it. When I saw the message, but then I opened it up and said, no, they're confident about going ahead. And so I just really wanted to pass this message on to you as soon as I could. So I will keep you informed about what is happening, because this really is quite important to many of you. And so I know people ask me, I get at least one person a week now asking, is it worth going? And the answer is, I don't know. As things stand at present, what I can say is if you're going to Caravan Salon to buy a vehicle, then it's probably not the right place to be quite honest. If you're going to buy equipment, it is the right place to be. If you're thinking that one day in the future you might buy a vehicle, you haven't going for window shopping, yes, then go. So that is probably the best advice that I can give you at this time. Thanks very much for watching.